Everybody, welcome to another episode of the Weekly Brunch. This is episode 8, and our title is I Don't Care. We'll get to that in a minute. Right now, let's see if I have audio. Hello? Everybody? Okay, I have audio. So we are up and running. For those who tuned in earlier, I do apologize. It seems like I'm still getting used to this software, this new software. So we will see what happens. Our main topic will be I Don't Care. Today's date is June 29th, 2025. What we're going to do right now is get into our weekly news and see what's going on around the world. And for those of you who are local, New York City. First, let's talk about the Israel and Iran conflict. A ceasefire has officially been called this past week. Despite the ceasefire, Iran's Ayatollah states he is ready to strike at any moment. This is by Fox News, and I am going to go ahead and show you what the current report is showing and what they have to say about this right now. Oh, I'm sorry. It seems like that is not what I wanted to share. So let's go to Fox News. It must be Mercury retrograde because I'm having all type of technical difficulties today, which happens when you're dealing with new software. And that is not what I was looking to share. Let's see if we could get the right
to our chief correspondent trade.
we're going to go back.
First, let's get right to our chief foreign correspondent, Trey Yanks. He's live for us in Tel Aviv at this hour. So, Trey, what else did the Ayatollah say?
Yes, Sandra, good afternoon. The ceasefire between Israel and Iran is holding for now as the region waits to see what comes next. Now, Iran's supreme leader made his first remarks since the ending of the war, downplaying the damage to Iranian nuclear facilities and claiming victory. The Ayatollah went on to warn that Iran would take action again if necessary. There was no indication of when these remarks were recorded.
We thank God for helping our armed forces to be able to penetrate their advanced multi-layered defenses and to put many of their urban and military areas under pressure with our missiles and to flatten them with a strong attack using our advanced weapons.
Israeli officials also continued to react to the 12-day war that included striking nuclear sites, taking out top Iranian scientists, and killing IRGC commanders. New video released by the IDF shows Israeli F-15 fighter jets on their way to carry out a mission over Iranian territory. Here in Tel Aviv, life has returned to normal with shops and cafes open again. Similar scenes played out in Tehran as the city came back to life.
We were in Tehran, busy with our work. After all, there was a sense of anxiety, something that affected most people, but not so much us. We went to work and came back. For us, everything was pretty normal.
Israel-Iran war has raised new questions about when the war between Israel and Hamas will end. Nearly 630 days in, efforts are still being made to reach a ceasefire agreement and bring the remaining 50 hostages home.
Mr. President, sir, as you took the decision to end the war in Iran, I'm asking you to take the decision to bring my son back to life from the tunnels and the Gaza war now.
There are a lot of moving parts here, but reports indicate there could be an agreement to end the war between Israel and Hamas in the next 2 weeks. Sandra?
All right, Trey Yingst in Tel Aviv for us. Trey, thank you very much.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey.
And there you have it from the horse's mouth. There have been several supposed leaks due to this strike, whether the U.S. strategic dismantling of the nuclear threats from Iran was successful or not. Currently, there is an investigation on where the leak has come from, and as the week progresses, we shall find out. So next week, we shall have an update on that. Despite this, we do want to say a heartfelt thank you to the armed forces, particularly the Air Force pilots that implemented these strikes. Thank you for your service. You are appreciated. There are growing concerns about the possibility of retaliation from sleeper cells that have been coming into this country due to the insecure borders during the past 4 years. We shall see as this story develops, and hopefully those of us who are in New York City just proceed with caution. Now, the next topic of the news is going to be the update on the Minnesota assassinations. Basically, that's what they are. This week, the late House Speaker, Melissa Hortman, her husband, and their beloved dog, Gilbert, was laid in state for 2 days for the public and her colleagues, and their colleagues, I should say, to pay their final respects. President Biden and presidential nominee Kamala Harris was present and showed their respects. Many within the public, their constituents, did arrive to show their final respects. From the visuals, it seems like it was a very, very long line. The gunman, whose hearing was supposed to be scheduled, has been postponed, and he is currently on suicide watch. More on that developing story later on, well, next week, as it develops throughout this week. Now let's go to a little bit local news, which has made national news, which is the New York State Mayoral primary. This week, the Democratic Party held its primary to determine who will represent their party for the mayoral race in November. I have been watching the different news coverage, and no, he is not the mayor of New York. He is not elected mayor of New York. He is the elected representative for the Democratic Party for the race in November. In November 5th is when New York City will determine who their mayor is. That being said, from the reaction throughout the internet, it is with great surprise that the member of the Democratic Party have opted their nomination to go to Zoran Mamdani. Zoran Mamdani identifies himself as a socialist Democrat. This nomination has caused fears throughout not just New York City, but throughout the entire United States, it appears. With this nomination comes fears of investors and businesses leaving New York city in large numbers. This would be the worst mass exodus of businesses since 9/11. Zoran beat out Mario Cuomo, who claims, according to sources, he will stay on the ballot as an independent, which puts him against Eric Adams, our current mayor, who is running as an independent himself. On the Republican ticket, we have Curtis Silva, the founder of the Guardian Angels, for those of you who are familiar with the 80s. And on that note, Fox 5 has taken a moment since this was decided on discussing this with him. So we're going to go ahead and go to this clip. And see what he has to say.
They're worried that somebody that, like this communist from New York, someday gets elected. I can't believe that's happening. That's a terrible thing for our country, by the way. He's a communist. We're going to go to a communistic state. That's so bad for New York, but the rest of the country is revolting against it.
So we've told you a little bit about how radical Zoran Mamdani is, but we've only just scratched the surface. Mamdani wants to defund the police and instead replace them with gun violence interrupters, whatever that is. And then there's his wild take on capitalism.
Do you like capitalism?
No, I have many critiques of capitalism. And I think ultimately the definition for me of why I call myself a democratic socialist is the words of Dr. King decades ago. He said, call it democracy or call it democratic socialism. There must be a better distribution of wealth for all of God's children in this country.
It's clear he hates the wealthy. But if you're wealthy and white, he wants you to pay more. Mamdani's housing plan specifies that he wants to, quote, shift the tax burden from overtaxed homeowners in the outer boroughs to more expensive homes in richer and whiter neighborhoods. Here to discuss is Curtis Sliwa, the Republican candidate for New York City mayor and founder of the Guardian Angels. Thank you so much for being here today. So he is a full-blown, unabashed communist.
Communist, socialist, supporter of terrorist groups. But Cuomo spent millions of dollars tagging him that way, and it just strengthened him with his supporters. Don't be fooled. The wealthy, rich, white neighborhoods, look at the map. That's where the highly educated white Gen Zers, millennials live, and they'd be more than happy to pay more than their fair share. So just as you think that would be repulsive, they're cheering that. And if you were to say, but that's your neighborhood, the most affluent white neighborhoods, so we're more than happy to pay it.
So we went out on the street and talked to some voters, and I want you to listen to this clip real quick.
But he specifically said he wants to tax white people. Do you think he should be taxing people on their race?
I didn't hear you say that. I'm not going to believe that.
It's actually right here on his website.
Well, whiter neighborhoods. He didn't say white people. I think he should change that because you misunderstood it. I understand what he's talking about.
So whiter, I understand what he's talking about. Whiter neighborhoods, not white people. This is full-blown racism.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. But look, you want to win this war, you got to fight fire with fire. And President Trump was magnificent in this campaign against Biden-Harris. He went after the millennial, the Gen Zers, mostly males, and he got them away from them and to be voting for him. And that's why he had such a massive victory in the popular election and won the 7 battleground states. We're not doing that here in the city. Cuomo was vilifying these people. Eric Adams now is vilifying these people. I don't. A lot of my supporters are in that age range. And what you have to do is embrace them and bring them over to your side. You have to say, you want to live in a city where all we lock up is toothpaste in the drugstores and we don't lock up criminals? Right. Because remember, I can go into neighborhoods as a Republican where the only Republican they ever saw was Abraham Lincoln on a $5 bill and be received. You must embrace these young people. You won't get all of them. Right. But you'll get enough of them to win the election. They are the majority now. I'm a baby boomer. I know we'd like to think we're still the majority of the voters, but so many of us have fled to Florida and Texas, and unfortunately, some of us have died.
Yeah. So obviously, you've made a career out of defending, keeping the peace. And I think a lot of these voters don't realize what they're getting. We also talked to some other New Yorkers about his plan to defund the police.
I think that you have to have someone who's actually trained in defense and not someone who's there to make peace.
If you don't have law enforcement and common sense, you have anarchy. You must have law enforcement and law and order.
You need someone of authority, like a police officer, who they might respect more compared to a social worker.
I think they get it, even if maybe some of them voted for Mamdani.
Well, Zoran gets it because he's under threats. I get that. But notice he has off-duty New York City Police Department personnel with guns protecting him.
Exactly.
Now, I can speak to that. I'm the only candidate who actually was threatened and shot 5 times on the orders of Gotti Sr., the Gotti Jr., and the Gambino crime family. I don't travel with any security. And by the way, I'm where none of the candidates are, whether it's Adams, Cuomo, or Mamdani, the subways. And that's the melting pot of New York City, where you actually hear the blue-collar working class people who are the backbone of the city.
Yeah, no, you've truly walked the walk. We have to go, but I get just 15 seconds. Let me ask you this. Would you imagine possibly joining a ticket with Eric Adams if it was the only way to stop this guy from winning?
Absolutely, Eric. You have been the best nightlife mayor we've ever had. You party to the break of dawn. You can take over the shift at 12 midnight. I'll get a little bit of sleep, come back at it at 6. I'll be the mayor, and you, the swagger man, can be the nightlife mayor. How about that unity ticket?
That sounds like a 24/7 ticket.
That's all he's ever done as mayor.
All right, I take that as a yes.
Yes.
Curtis, thank you so much for joining.
So we shall see where New York City will end with this mayoral race. Continuing on with the news, President Trump has shown how he has, how real he is. And he surprised us, well, not all of us, but he surprised us with his realism and shocked the internet by dropping the F-bomb. Let's see let's go to the clip. Let's see if we can restart this. Okay.
They don't know what the they're doing. Do you understand that? You know what? We basically have 2 countries that have been fighting so hard that they don't know what the they're doing. Do you understand that?
There you have it. President Trump, in his frustration, when asked about the initial ceasefire that was called this week, which was violated by both Israel and Iran, which has been put back in place. Now, after this, he was able to catch his composure, go to NATO for a conference, and return to, and this I really do appreciate, return and handle a peace deal between Congo and Rwanda.
Includes provisions on the
We're getting for the United States a lot of the mineral rights from the Congo as part of it.
We must acknowledge that there is a great deal of uncertainty in our region and beyond, because many previous agreements have not been implemented, and there is no doubt that the road ahead will not be easy.
Those who have suffered the most are watching. They are expecting this agreement to be respected, and we cannot fail them.
The agreement being signed includes provisions on the
We're getting for the United States a lot of the mineral rights from the Congo as part of it.
We must acknowledge that there is a great deal of uncertainty in our region and beyond, because many previous agreements have not been implemented, and there is no doubt that the road ahead will not be easy.
Those who have suffered the most are watching. They are expecting this agreement to be respected, and we cannot fail them.
This is a significant accomplishment for the world, actually. For decades, many have watched in despair and wondered if there would be peace within that region. This was unexpected, but it has been a pleasant surprise for many of those who have watched and have hoped for peace within that region. Now let's take a moment. In New York City, let's check our weather, because this past week, New York City has been through a heat wave. New York City has hit up to 100 degrees with some relief that came this past Wednesday. Currently, the temperature is 89 degrees. The high is supposed to hit 90 degrees. Keep hydrated, keep safe, stay in the shade if you can, but enjoy this beautiful day, because the last few days have been a bit rainy. Now, this upcoming week, we are looking it to be a little bit cooler. It will be hitting the highs of 89 degrees with humidity, might be above 90 degrees. Now, let's get a little bit into some fun things like I like to do. Because despite all the craziness that is happening in the world, we have some a rare upcoming occurrence coming. At the end of this year, we will be getting a visit here in New York City from Adam Sandler. If you are a fan of Adam Sandler, he is coming on the You're My Best Friend comedy tour. He will be coming Madison Square Garden, and it is September is the date from what I saw before, but I want to get the date correct for us. September 15. I do have the links in the description. So if you want to go and see him, come to Madison Square Garden and enjoy Adam Sandler, you can click on those links and you will get the different times for his show and enjoy and get a break from the fast-paced moving world that is happening today. Now, next up is, if you are a parent, this is an article that is very important to you. Let me just see. Okay. If you are a parent, hold on a minute. I believe that is the wrong article that I clicked to share. Okay. For those parents who are aware, the New York school district must finalize and publish the cell phone ban policy by August 1st. You may want to speak your local, your local assemblyman, senator, so they could go ahead and finalize this bill. This will prohibit the unsanctioned use of smartphones and other internet-enabled personal devices on school grounds from kindergarten to 12th grade schools. So if you have someone in I don't know what they call it, but initial grade school, middle school, and high school, these will affect your children. This allows the schools to develop their own plan for storing smartphones during the day, giving administrators and teachers the flexibility to do what works best for their buildings and students. Okay. For more details on this bill, if you are there, I do have a link in the description for this particular article. Now, it is New York, not New York City only. Just so you are aware, it is New York State. So if you have not, if you were unaware, now you are. This is what's going to be implemented. How you feel about it, I don't know, but your feelings should be stressed to your assemblyman and your state senator. Now, let's talk about the good things. Just before, for those of you who are taking off for the week, because the 4th of July weekend is coming up, and there are celebrations all around the country, especially here in New York City and DC. I mentioned DC because I did not add this in my initial report, but what's going on is the White House has started to erect anti protest barriers around it. So if you are going to DC for the 4th of July week or weekend, first, be safe. That comes first. Also, be aware that I guess they're expecting some, how can I say, shenanigans in the DC area. For those of us here who are staying in New York City and we are staying local, they are expecting rain this weekend, so please account for that. We are also, we here in New York, we love our fireworks and we love to go see them. So we have an article here. I believe this is from ABC News. That's the wrong share. There we go. My apologies. Okay. So, I have one more article to share, and this is important to the seniors in the Bronx, okay? Let's see. Okay. According to the Bronx Times, I'm telling you, it is Mercury retrograde at this time because I'm going to look that up as soon as we are done with this. There we go. All right, people. According to the Bronx Times, the city has launched its lottery for senior apartments in the Bronx. So, if you or you know someone who is 62 years old or older, just so you know, they are doing the lottery for luxury apartments in the Bronx. They're offering 25 affordable apartments in a newly constructed Fisher Senior Apartment Buildings, which is located on 97 West 169th Street, and it's a 9-story building which includes 105 total units. 80 units, and 25 has been designated for affordable housing and Section 8 housing. So if you have applied for this or if you are in the lottery for this, pay attention, stay on top of it, because we know how it is with the rent in New York. Okay? I have also, I believe, set the link for this on the bottom for this article with promotional pictures that has been provided by them. This is in partnership of HPD, Housing Preservation and Development, HAAP, Homeless Housing Assistant Program, and SARA, which is Senior Affordable Rental Apartment, as well as OTDA, which is Office of Temporary Disability Assistance. If you are aware, if you have been waiting for this, pay attention. The lottery has begun. That's it for the news. So let's get started on what matters. The weekly brunch. Now, I started off, this is the second recording of this because I had problems in the beginning due to the new software. I do apologize. So for the brunch today, I did have some, and I because of the previous recording, I did have some bruschetta. I made my homemade French bread. Yes, I do plan on doing the homesteading part. Don't worry, it will be done. With some fresh cherry tomatoes, with some salt, pepper, oregano, and garlic seasoning. And my cheese for the bruschetta has been goat cheese. I love my goat cheese. And the bread is all eaten up, and I have to watch my gluten intake. And I have my glass of wine because with all the mishaps I've had, come on now, I can't help it. So let's talk about our daily brunch. Last week we talked about, because we got to do the recap, we talked about gratitude. So I have to ask you, have you done your gratitude routine yet? Have you developed a gratitude routine yet? That's actually quite important. As the train goes by, that's actually quite an important aspect to move on and to take care of things. Is if you wish to grow spiritually, because remember, my channel does go in tune with the 30 days Vista, 30 days with you. So the goal is for spiritual growth. And having gratitude helps you persevere. What do I mean? I'm going to touch base on this. I'm not going to get too deep into this. When you are going through the hardest times in your life, when you go to that doctor and you get a diagnosis that's like basically, and please excuse my language, basically makes you say, holy shit, this could really happen to me. Gratitude is what's going to make you pull up your big girl panties or big boy panties and say, I'm not going out like this. I'm going to fight this. In short, this past week, I had the pleasure of sharing an after work dinner with two former colleagues that I had. This was an awakening to me. I have my own trials and tribulations, which I always explain. I'm going through hot flashes at random times, no prediction. There's no hell or high water. When it comes, it comes, it comes. Fortunate today, there is no sweat. Then there is another friend of mine who went through these two are going through their challenges. They're going through their current challenges in life. One of them, to tell you the truth, I've never seen anyone who has more faith in Jesus outside of my significant other than this woman. And prayer works for her because of how deep her belief is. I want to be that way. Then I have my younger friend who told us some devastating news. And to tell you the truth, when I was told the news, I have not been given permission to give it out loud. When I was told the news, how can I say? Have you ever had, I've had those moments, and I know everybody's had that moments where you just want to swing in the air and fight that invisible demon on their own, just to say, F you, you're not going to conquer. F you for doing this type of situation. And because when I received that news, I was in a public setting and I had to keep my composure because women with dreadlocks, after a hard day, back pain, you don't want to scare the people in New York City. Advisement for those of you who visit. But at the end of the day, and at the end of this dinner, I realized that each one of us have our strength. And it's due to the fact that we have gratitude. To my friend who has that unwavering faith and empowerment of Jesus herself, that was her strength. To my other colleague, it's the support and faith of others around him and his intelligence and him knowing and going for the facts and knowing this is what I have to do. That was another aspect of it. And then you have me, ex-military, which someone had to remind me on a job site that that's what pushes me through of I will not lay down and give up attitude. And it's not because of each individual faith only that this relies on. It is because we are grateful. Despite the devastating news, we know what to be grateful for. We know where our gratitude lies. And that's why it's important, as I emphasized last week, to get into a routine to remind yourself of gratitude. Gratitude holds you accountable for what can be. Whether you are in a bad situation in life or whether you're trying to develop that stamina in life. So what has been your routine for gratitude? I am grateful for so many things, even for those who I do clash with in life. Love you, Dom. Even for those who I want to see on a daily basis but cannot. Parents, significant others, those who have passed. Gratitude teaches you to be grateful that they were even in your life in the beginning. So, how do I go from gratitude to the main topic today? I don't care. I don't care. First, I have to say how I got this. I listened to another podcaster, Barry Cunningham, and I listen to his political commentary, and most people get trolled all the time. And for weeks, he has these little clips, and I'm a big Judy Garland fan. Ever since I was a kid, ever since I saw Wizard of Oz, always been a fan of hers. We won't discuss her life. I like her work, not necessarily the lifestyle she lived. Let's get that straight. But she had one of her musicals, because I love musicals, one of her musicals, and she has a song called I Don't Care. I won't play it here because, one, I don't have the copyright. Two, I won't take care of that from the podcaster I like to listen to. Also, it has been an earworm for weeks. And it's funny when it comes up. It comes up when I get the most frustrated. I know I have a task to do. Someone does something stupid and get in my way, and automatically my brain clicks and it goes, that song. I won't give you the earworm, but if you want to go look at it, I didn't put it in the link because I really don't want to do that to someone. But I realized, in conjunction with my original book, 30 Days with You, Vista Within 30 Days with You, at one point, as you're trying to grow, you're going to have to sing that song. You're going to have to sing I Don't Care. Now, I'm not saying become heartless, become totally barred off from people, but you can't care too much. What do I mean? Everybody has an opinion. But what does that opinion have to do with you? Does that opinion help your spiritual growth? Does that opinion help you with your goal? Or is that opinion meant to undermine your goal? You're going to have to turn. Everybody has an opinion, but I don't care. I have a goal. I have to sacrifice by budgeting, because this is where we are in life. We have to budget. Yes, there are rumors that the economy is about to boom. But if you're not ready, you can't take advantage of it. So everybody has their opinion. I don't care. At the end of the day, does that opinion pay your bills? Does that opinion help your health? Does that opinion come help you when you can't do what you need to do as basic skills? I'm not saying become heartless. I'm just saying put opinions and people's, how can I say, put people's suggestions because that's what it is. Opinions are just suggestions. They're not factual. They could be an experience that could help you, but at the end of the day, an opinion is an opinion. To put yourself first. You have to ask those key questions. Does this help my growth? Because at the end of the day, the focus is on you. Those of you who are Generation X, as myself, we are starting to age out. I hate to tell you. I know it's a fact that we try to avoid. Lord knows I try to. We try to avoid. But the truth of the matter is, we're getting up there. We are in our 50s, some of us in the late 40s, some of us in the early 50s, some even in the mid 50s. And we are not the youth we used to be. That's okay. We knew this was going to happen. We didn't want to admit that it would happen, but we knew it was going to happen. I give advice to people of what helps me, when it helps me. And with that, I always preference any advice. I use tools. I use a back brace now. That is to help support my back because of back pains. I use a knee brace because my knees buckle down sometimes. I use a cane because I need help walking. And the fact of the matter is, I could walk probably half a day, and then the next half of the day, I need help. That's admitting that's me. I remember there's another older lady. She's much older than me at my job, and she started using a cane. She came in this week with a cane, and she's like, she wasn't using her cane. And she's like, I want to try. I'm like, did your doctor say you could try? But I want to get rid of the cane. Let's put it all together. This is where I don't care comes in. I don't like how it looks with me walking with a cane. I don't like how it feels walking with a back brace and a knee brace. I don't like it. Do I need it? Yes. Will others judge me with it? Hell yeah. I don't care. This is what I mean. I'm using the extreme and I'm using myself as an example, but you have to get to the point where you say, I don't care. I want to become, you want to become financially independent. What does that mean? Bring your breakfast into work. Bring your lunch into work. Don't order out. Others will judge me. Excuse my language. Fuck them. Because at the end of the day, when you don't have the pennies and you don't reach your goals, they don't care. So it's time for you to say right now, I don't care. I am doing this for me. I am making the sacrifices for me. My retirement will benefit by the sacrifices I make now. I'll be able to go on that vacation and on those trips on retirement, which we are less than 20 years away from, let's be honest. And yes, the world is unstable. To tell you the truth, we don't know what's going to happen from minute to minute. The way things are happening, I can't tell you how many times I woke up in the morning and it's been an emotional roller coaster because I do pay close attention to the news, which is why I have the news segment now. And I only do it on a weekly basis, which actually brings me to a good point. If I had this attitude much earlier in my life, I'd be much further. Here goes the key point. As a young child, as a teenager, I wanted to give myself a go at radio broadcasting, because YouTube was not a thing. I don't even think YouTube existed back then. And I was responsible for international news at a foreign, well, it was in the US, but it was Haitian news, Haitian station that broadcast once a week, like I do here. And I was also responsible for taking calls afterwards. That was my thing. My thing was vetting calls and also giving the Black news, which included Black foreign news, which is Africa, the US. And back then we didn't have the internet. So all I relied on was what the newspapers provided. I was young, I was shy, that the biggest thing was actually getting on the radio, because getting on actual TV or something like YouTube or visual was not heard of. So I would try my best and do my research. It was like the whole Saturday and Sunday, grabbing all the news I could get. And it was like maybe a 15-minute segment where I would say what's happening here in Africa. I would say what's happening in Haiti, what's happening in the Caribbeans. If there was anything, it was a Haitian radio station. So it was more focused on Haiti, but it was more international African news and everything else. And afterwards, I would take calls, like not calls that would go onto the radio, but people sharing their opinion. God bless those people, and I forgive those people. The public is very brutal, and it was brutal even back then. That's why trolls are nothing. But as a teenager, still in high school, the cruelty that those people said that they were unaware of, that they were speaking to the young lady who was on the radio, trying to give them that news the best that she could, was devastating to me. They actually changed my life. I wanted to get into broadcasting. I wanted to get into journalism. And because of that, and this is my fault, because I did not understand the term, I don't care. I changed and shifted, joined the military, and left that that pursuit. Obviously, that doesn't last. It took a couple of decades, but that doesn't last. But look at what happens when you don't take that I don't care attitude. Now, granted, I am grateful for the path I took in life, because I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't have found my strength, which is probably what I had to do. But if I could go back to my teenage self and go and catch her as she's in tears. Yes, I was in tears. I was a very sensitive child. Talking about, I don't know how I could do this. You need to take the I don't care attitude. Those people went on with their lives. Those were adults, and they went on with their lives. They did what they had to do with their lives. Most of them were immigrants, just like my parents are. So they cross their worst hurdles. They cross the barricades to get here legally, despite what others may have told them was possible or not. We are at that age where it's like life is done. Most people would tell you it's not. I'm just letting you know. But as I got older, as I'm at this age of aging out, as people would say, I don't care. I don't care about opinions. You shouldn't care about opinions. You want to grow spiritually? Do what you have to do. You want to grow as a person? Do what you have to do. You want to be ready for the financial benefits that's about to hit this country and hit the people of this country? Do what you have to do. I don't care. That's what you have to sing to yourself. I don't care. You are important. That's what's important. You and your goals are important. I'm able to go over an hour. I actually thought that I only had an hour. Like I said, I'm getting used to this software. Hopefully next week it'll go for a little bit smoother. That being said, once you have claimed, which is a hard attitude to claim, once you've claimed the attitude, I don't care. Don't be hardened by that attitude. That's not what this is about. This is about understanding that people have their opinions. Opinions are like assholes. Everyone has one, and what comes out of an asshole is nothing but, we know. I'm not saying there's some gems in there. Some assholes are tight. Excuse that joke, but those who know knows. This is what you have to do. Understand critics will criticize. And I'm not talking about critics online, although that does have a lot to do with it. I'm not talking about critics on a public forum, even your friends, even your family members. I'm not saying to be disrespectful. Don't take it that way. But everybody has their opinion, and you take it for what it's worth. And you search for the knowledge that you require. You take no one's word at face value. You search for the knowledge that you require, and you let go of the rest. That's what you do with opinions. You take what fits your thing, you contemplate it, you calculate it, and you let go of what don't work. That's how we have to move in life, especially if it comes to your spiritual growth, especially if you followed my book, 30 Days Within You. You don't want to undo what you've done, because at the same time, you have saboteurs. Sometimes those that are jealous and they're mean and they don't want to see you succeed are the ones closest to you. Sometimes it could be a coworker. Sometimes it could be someone who thinks you are better off than them, that just see you at first glance. You take it for what it's worth. You give them the ear if it's required. You take it in if it applies to you. After you mull it over, if it doesn't apply, throw it out. That's how life works. Don't care. I don't care. I've been told my most proudest moment in my life, outside of my accomplishment as a teenager, and those who knows me from high school knows exactly what I mean, is my military experience. My most heartbreaking time in life. And I will always remember this, because that most heartbreaking time in my life showed me how proud I am for my accomplishment, was when a relative of mine told me my biggest mistake, not theirs, my biggest mistake was serving in the U.S. military. Let me tell you, I can't tell you how crushed I was. I spent months mulling that one over. That was months too long. That was my choice. And I never second guessed it. That was my pride and joy. And it's funny because this week I got confirmation of how much of that was a good choice. As I'm sitting there, standing there with my cane, my back brace, my knee brace, in pain, trying to get my job done. Someone, never met this man in my life. And I was apologizing because of my limitations, I couldn't do something. And they told me, don't worry about it. Your military experience is going to help you get through this. Mind you, and I don't even know if I'm ever going to meet this man again. First time I'm meeting the man. All I said is that I'm ex-military. That's where I got my injury. That's why my back hurts, blah, 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 blah. And he goes, and I always tell people that I'm going to get better. I'm going to get to where I was. If you see my thumbnail, it doesn't look exactly like me. That's what I look like not even 10 years ago, because I was exercising and my goal was not to get like this. And life got in the way and I got like this. And I said, that's where I said, that's my goal. I'm going to be able to not wear a back brace again. I'm not going to have a knee brace again. I'm going to be 40 pounds lighter. And I'm going to be running soon. And that was that man's response. And I've never felt happier in my life. I don't care. That's what you have to say. I don't care about what you think about my past choices. Joining the military was a choice. Letting myself go, unfortunately, was a choice. But I don't care what you think about it, because I realized my mistake. That's where you have to be. I realized my mistake. Your opinion is your opinion, and opinions are like assholes. We all got one, and we all know what comes out of it. Do you, boo? Do you? You want to be able to be in a financial place where you're financial stable and you're about to take advantage of what's coming up? Make the sacrifices you got to make, and to hell what everybody else thinks. Do you? I don't get political on this channel, but I thought about this morning because I was watching clips. Because that's what I do. And someone on X put a compilation of, this is not even this election term. And mind you, in 2019 election, I think, I was not a supporter of Trump. And it was a compilation of every politician that said he will not be president. And that man, and it ended with him swearing off on his first term. He knows his first term because his son Barron was not the big monster that he is now. Being sworn in as president. And I was like, if that does not inspire you, no matter how you feel about this man, think about it. Everybody who was anybody said It won't happen. He can't do it. And what did he do? He did it. That is the American dream. That is why my parents came here. That is what my parents wanted for me. That is what our parents wanted for all of us. No matter what anybody says, that has nothing to do with nothing, that feels that their opinion matters, I don't care. Because when it's time for me to be me, when it's time for me to be who I am, and that's what you have to tell yourself, it will happen. If I have to sacrifice, if I have to tighten up my belt, if I have to have little supports every now and then to get where I need to get to, I don't care what you think. Because the end goal is in the glory of me and God. And it will happen. On that note, I'm going to say have a beautiful Sunday morning. If you're taking the week off for the July 4th, have a safe, joyful, fun, cool. Hydrate, hydrate, hydrate. 4th of July, weekend, be safe. When I talk to you next, it will be after the 4th of July. So I hope if you join me again, that you will hear some stories. For those of you who like Buddy Check will occur this in the month of July. Buddy Check is at the end of the week, so it will be after 5 o'clock. I will be doing Buddy Check. If you have any suggestions for Buddy Check, please drop it in the comments. I probably will do a special for the anniversary of the 4th of July, since Buddy Check is meant for those who are veterans and who have served, so we understand the importance and the pride that comes with serving the United States of America. And if you feel that someone needs to hear this, you'd like to share, please like this video, share it with somebody that it helps, and subscribe so you could know when I go live and when I post new things. I have a lot of stuff in mind, a lot of stuff coming. Please be patient with me. Between perimenopause and the back, it's kind of slow moving, but it's coming along. And hint, I just tried a new recipe for wine jelly. And we know we have an abundance of liquor stores, so we have an abundance of wine in New York City. So this is something that you could use to make a bottle, to use a bottle of wine, and you could have it for your weekly brunch. I was hoping to have some for today, but I had to reset it, and I could also share some tips on how to do that as long as once I see if it works out. And on that note, have a beautiful week, and I'll see you next week.